A young woman writes to Dr. Climax in episode 8 of Dr. Climax to disclose that she is considering getting an abortion. She should think again, the doctor says. She merely has to accept responsibility and act like an adult, he argues. Pornchai intensifies his public criticism of the Dr. Climax column in the meantime. How is Nat doing? Nat asks Tukta to stop having sex after realizing that she has changed too much, and they converse. If he even knows her, Tukta queries. It's official, Linda is expecting, and Nat is the father. She doesn't tell Nat right away, though. Even on his trips to her, she stays away from him. He tells her he loves her, but she won't open the door and instead watches from the other side. Nat makes it clear that it was worthy to fall in love with her. Nat isn't sure he's ready to take on the role of Dr. Climax again because of his failed marriage, the incident involving Songjan, and his friendship with Linda. Chu assists by displaying to him hundreds of letters from grateful readers of the column. Nat recognizes that the column is more beneficial than detrimental. Does Dr. Climax get arrested by the police? Permpole visits the police after being released from custody and provides a statement. He makes every effort to absolve Songjan of the accusations. He learns of the police's scheme to trap Tien when he goes to the sex club later that evening when he is at the police station. He tells Chu over the phone that Tien is the victim of a trap set by the police at the sex club. As Chu, Nat, and Permpole prepare for Tien's first performance with Plern, they break into the club in an attempt to save him. After being brought to the stage and strapped to a stretcher, Nat is misidentified as a performer. Permpole makes an unsuccessful attempt to attract Tien's attention from the control room in the meanwhile. Finally, he yells for everyone to know that the police are inside the club. After hearing Permpole's warning, everyone takes off fleeing. As he assists Nat in escaping, Plern makes the decision to leave Tien behind. The two pursue their chase until they reach a dead end. Tien gives herself up to the pursuing police officers after hiding Nat under a few empty boxes. What takes place following Tien's arrest? During a heated interrogation, Tien refuses to acknowledge that he is Dr. Climax. He is heavily relied upon by Pornchai and Captain Pao, who anticipate a blunder, but he does not. Chu brings in an attorney and argues that Pornchai's questioning of a suspect was illegal since the police did not follow protocol. There is no proof that Tien was engaged in a public sex act that the police are aware of. Tien is freed because there is no proof, but when he encounters Plern, he knows she deceived him. Pornchai receives a call from Nat after he persists. He calls himself Dr. Climax and makes fun of Pornchai for choosing the wrong man. He declares that Dr. Climax will make a reappearance and will disclose his true identity. Nat tells Tien and Chu the same thing later in a meeting. He vows to tell his family everything, including the affair and the column. But Pornchai leaks Tien's arrest to the media, ruining his reputation in the process and connecting him to Dr. Climax. Chu feels compelled by this to fire Tien right away. He ends up being the scapegoat for Bangkok Express, and not even exposing the true identity of Dr. Climax can rescue him. People are incensed that he is at the sex club and don't give a damn if he is actually Dr. Climax. Does Nat identify himself as Climax, the doctor? Nat comes up with a strategy to deal with Pornchai and Captain Pao once Tien is fired. He and Chu walk in on Pornchai during his press appearance and admit that Pornchai and Captain Pao hired dummy actors for a sting. They cite Plern's use by the police to set Tien up in their report about the case. Tien's name is cleared and the two men are taken into custody for being entrapped. Then Nat makes himself known. What is the fate of Tukta? Her new partner departs the nation without informing her. She meets Linda again and they talk about the affair. Linda says she's sorry and that Tukta wasn't the intended victim of her actions.